Who am I now finding purpose after retirement? An opening note of reflection. Before we begin, take a slow, deep breath with me and ask yourself quietly, if today I had no schedule, no calls, no one waiting for me, would I still feel meaningful? Maybe this question has crept up on you out of nowhere. Maybe it came when you looked in the mirror, or when you woke up to a longer, quieter morning, or when the night stretched on, feeling heavier than usual. If you've ever asked yourself that question, then today, let's sit together. Not to rush toward answers, but to gently hold that feeling without fear, without shame. Because maybe the meaning of life at this stage doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from how we look at ourselves and quietly say, I am still here, and that is enough to begin. The awakening moment. Hello, I'm Ordinary People, your online neighbor and fellow retiree. Today, I want to share a warm cup of thought with you about a question that often lingers quietly inside, especially when work is behind us, the kids have flown the nest, and the days feel a little quieter. What is the meaning of my life now? If you've felt empty, unsure why to get up in the morning, or started wondering, what's my purpose if the world no longer needs me? You are not alone. What you're feeling is deeply human. It's not a weakness. It's an invitation to rediscover life's meaning in later years. Together, we'll explore this journey with kindness, science, and heart. The awakening of curiosity. Let's start with some insight from science and the wisdom of experts who have studied aging and meaning. Dr. Lovra Carstensen, director of Stanford Center on Longevity, calls older adulthood a golden time for emotional depth. She explains that as we age, we naturally shift focus from chasing many things to cherishing what truly matters: deep relationships, meaningful experiences, and inner peace. But this shift can also bring what psychologists call an existential crisis, a deep inner restlessness that arises when the roles and routines that once defined us begin to fade. Dr. Nancy Schlossberg, a leading expert on life transitions, reminds us that retirement is not just the end of work, it's a profound psychological, social, and spiritual transition. Dr. Richard Leider, a pioneer in purpose coaching, says, purpose is not a luxury, it is a fundamental human need, especially as we age. This means that finding purpose is essential for our well-being in retirement, not optional. Research also shows that retirees who struggle to find meaning are more likely to face depression, loneliness, and even physical health decline. But here's the hopeful part. Meaning can be found, even rebuilt, in new ways. As Dr. Robert Waldinger, the Harvard study director, says, good lives are built on good relationships and meaningful habits. So the question becomes, how do we build those meaningful habits and relationships in this new chapter? Insight 1. Shift from role to values. For decades, many of us have been known as the employee, the teacher, the store owner, the mother, or the father. But when those roles end, we ask, who am I without these labels? The first step is to shift focus from roles to values, the core principles that have always lived inside us. What values have stayed true throughout your life? Maybe kindness, generosity, wisdom, or encouragement. Here's a simple practice. Take some quiet time to journal. Ask yourself, what values have I lived by that don't depend on my job or role? Once you identify these values, find new ways to express them. If you value helping others, consider volunteering in your community or mentoring younger people. If wisdom is your strength, share your stories or teach a skill. Dr. Richard Leider reminds us, meaning is born not from what we do, but from living our deepest values. This shift helps us see that our worth is not tied to a job title, but to the values we carry and share. It's not about replacing a role, but about reconnecting with the essence of who we are. This process can feel vulnerable, but it opens a door to deeper, more lasting purpose. Insight 2. Build a meaningful routine. Retirement often means losing the daily structure that work provided. Dr. Mo Wang, a researcher on retirement adjustment, highlights how important routine is for our brain and spirit. Without structure, our minds can feel lost. Without direction, our hearts can feel empty. Creating a daily rhythm that balances body, mind, and social connection is key. Here's a simple framework to try. 1. Movement. Start your day with some gentle exercise, stretching, walking, or yoga. 2. Mindfulness. Spend a few moments in meditation, prayer, or quiet reflection. 3. Connection. Reach out to a friend, family member, or neighbor, even if just for a short chat. Add one weekly activity that makes you feel useful or productive, maybe gardening, writing, or sharing your wisdom with others. Dr. Robert Waldinger says, "Good lives are built on good relationships and meaningful habits." This means the small, consistent actions we take every day create the foundation for a meaningful retired life. A meaningful routine doesn't have to be complicated or rigid. It's about creating small moments that remind us we matter. Insight 3. Connect with others and something bigger. One of the most powerful antidotes to existential crisis is connection, not just with people, but with something larger than ourselves. This could be nature, spirituality, or a cause that speaks to your heart. Try these. Join a spiritual or discussion group that nurtures your sense of belonging. Spend time outdoors, noticing the cycles of life in plants, animals, and seasons. Practice meditation or prayer, or simply sit quietly and listen to your inner voice. Dr. Becca Livy's research shows that believing life remains meaningful in old age slows physical decline, boosts immunity, and extends life. Connection reminds us we are part of a larger story, not just isolated individuals. When we feel connected, our loneliness eases and hope grows. This connection can be a lifeline when the world feels uncertain or empty. Insight 4. Embrace lifelong learning and growth. Retirement is also a time to embrace growth and curiosity. Dr. Ken Deichtwald, a leading gerontologist, encouraged retirees to see aging as a time of opportunity for new learning and self-discovery. Learning new skills, exploring hobbies, or even pursuing formal education can renew a sense of purpose. You might try taking a class in something you've always wanted to explore, picking up a creative hobby like painting, writing, or music, volunteering in ways that challenge you and expand your horizons. Growth keeps the mind active and opens doors to new social connections. It also shifts the narrative from loss to possibility. As Dr. Nancy Schlossberg notes, transitions can be difficult, but also fertile ground for reinvention. By embracing the learner's mindset, you invite new meaning into your life. Insight 5. Practice gratitude and presence. Gratitude and presence are powerful tools for finding meaning. Dr. Lovra Carstensen's research shows that older adults naturally focus more on positive experiences and savoring the moment. Try cultivating gratitude by keeping a daily gratitude journal, noting 3 things you appreciate each day. Practicing mindfulness to fully experience simple pleasures, a meal, a breeze, a smile. Sharing appreciation with others, strengthening bonds, and lifting spirits. Presence grounds us in the here and now, reducing anxiety about the future or regrets from the past. It helps us see that meaning is often found in small, everyday moments. Gratitude rewires our brain toward positivity and resilience. This practice can transform how you experience each day, making life feel richer and more fulfilling. The final light. Let's deepen our understanding with some advanced insights. Dr. Mo Wang's longitudinal studies reveal that retirees who actively engage in purposeful activities show better mental health and slower cognitive decline. Dr. Becca Levy's work on age stereotypes shows that internalizing positive beliefs about aging boosts longevity and well-being. Dr. Robert Waldinger's Harvard study, spanning over 75 years, confirms that close relationships and a sense of purpose are the strongest predictors of happiness and health. Importantly, these studies show that meaning isn't fixed, it's dynamic and can be cultivated at any age. Dr. Richard Leider emphasizes, Purpose evolves. It's a compass, not a destination. This means your journey to meaning is ongoing, full of opportunities to grow, connect, and contribute. Science and lived experience both remind us that even in later years, life can be rich, vibrant, and meaningful. From knowing to becoming, as we come to the close of this conversation, remember, you are still important. You are still needed. Maybe you're no longer called to the office, but the world still longs for your wisdom. Maybe your children have busy lives, but neighbors, grandchildren, or strangers can be touched by your smile. Maybe you don't move as fast as before, but now you walk deeper. A meaningful life is not measured by speed, but by depth. These words remind us that purpose is not about doing more, but about being more present, more connected, more true to ourselves. So take a moment now, breathe, reflect on what you've heard. Know that your journey is valid and valuable, and that meaning can be found even in the quietest chapters. Until the next reflection before we part, let me leave you with one last thought. We can begin to make peace with silence. We can accept that our roles have changed. But what if now meeting new people feels awkward? Not because you're unfriendly, but because each encounter feels like a test. Each greeting feels like a challenge. You used to lead meetings with confidence. Now even saying hello at the local store takes courage. In our next session, we'll gently explore this social anxiety in retirement. We'll talk about the quiet fears of meeting new faces, and how small, warm, human steps can help us reconnect without pretending to be someone else. Because courage isn't always about speaking loudly. Sometimes it's about showing up quietly, steadily, and authentically. If this conversation touched you, please share your thoughts below. Your story might inspire someone else who feels the same. Like, share, and subscribe to join us on this journey. Tap the bell icon to walk with us next time. I'm Ordinary People. Remember, you're not alone, and your presence matters. Thank you for being here today.